faster English.
Welcome to the Easy English Podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we are doing a deep dive into a topic we all struggle with.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley, your resident expert. And we're talking about stuff, the things we own.
Exactly. But before we start, picture this. You are standing in your bedroom. You are looking into a closet that is just completely full.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. The clothes are pushed so tightly together. You have sweaters you haven't worn since, well, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Shoes are in a big mountain on the floor.
A total mess.
And even with hundreds of clothes right in front of you, you think to yourself, I have absolutely nothing to wear.
It is so funny, but millions of people feel that exact way every morning. We build these huge collections of things.
You really do.
We fill up every drawer, every room, and even the garage, to the point where the car does not fit inside anymore.
So true. We always think, oh, I just need a bigger house. Or I just need better boxes to organize my things.
Yeah, but what if the problem is not your house? What if the mess is actually changing how you feel inside?
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to look at a huge stack of sources. We have psychology studies, history books, financial blogs, and even some Reddit threads.
Wow, that is a lot of reading.
It is. And we want to find out the real meaning of the minimalist life. We want to see the difference between just cleaning a room and actually changing how we buy things.
And, we really need to look at the battle between wanting something and needing something.
Yes. So before we learn how to clean our rooms, we need to understand this idea of minimalism. To start, I love this simple metaphor. Life is like a backpack.
Oh, I like that. Life is like a backpack.
Right. If you put too many heavy rocks in your backpack, it is very hard to walk. You get tired faster.
That is a great way to think about it. And a lot of people think this idea of caring less of being a minimalist is a new trend.
Yeah, like something from Instagram, right? People with empty White Houses.
Exactly. But our sources show this goes back thousands of years. It goes all the way back to ancient Greece.
Wait, really? Ancient Greece?
Yes. There was a philosopher named Epicurus, and his big idea was that having a very rich, fancy life actually brings more trouble than happiness.
Huh. So having too much stuff was bad even back then.
Right. Think about buying a really expensive, fast car.
Okay, I am imagining it. Sounds nice.
It sounds nice for a week, but then you have to worry about it. You worry someone will scratch the paint. You pay a lot of money to fix it. The car starts to own you.
I see your point. The trouble of taking care of it is bigger than the fun of driving it.
Exactly. And we see this same idea in the 1800s with a famous American writer, Henry David Thoreau. He went to live in a tiny cabin in the woods by Walden Pond.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about him. He wanted to live a very simple life, right?
He lived there for 2 years, and his biggest lesson was simply simplify, simplify, simplify.
Simplify. That means to make things less complicated, right?
Yes, exactly. He saw that people were working all day just to buy fancy curtains or big furniture, things they did not really need.
He's like, people were running on a treadmill. Yeah, the machine at the gym where you run but stay in the same place? Modern shopping feels like that. The treadmill keeps going faster and faster. You buy a house, then you need a lawnmower, then you need new furniture.
Oh, that makes sense. The machine just keeps moving.
So were these people in history just stepping off the treadmill?
Well, the sources say they were doing something called essentialism.
Wait, essentialism. Let's explain that. Essential is one of our words for today. Essential means something you absolutely must have, right? Like water.
Exactly. Essentialism is focusing only on the very few things you truly need and ignoring the rest. You step off the treadmill and walk in the forest instead.
I love that. But today, in the modern world, people get confused. They think stepping off the treadmill just means organizing the mess.
Yes, and that is a huge trap. This is a very important point from our sources. Decluttering and minimalism are not the same thing.
Wait, let's stop for a real-time definition. Declutter. What does declutter mean?
Declutter means to remove messy or extra things from a place, to clean up and throw away junk.
So if I spend all Saturday throwing away old boxes from my garage, I am decluttering. But you're saying that is not minimalism.
Right. Decluttering is just an action. It is something you do once in a while. Minimalism is a whole way of living. It changes how you think.
Okay, this reminds me of Marie Kondo. A few years ago, everyone was doing her method. You hold a shirt and ask, does this spark joy? Does it make me happy?
The KonMari method. It is very popular.
If it does not make you happy, you throw it away. Is that minimalism?
Our sources say it is a great tool for organizing, but it is not true minimalism.
Really? Why not?
Because it only focuses on throwing things out. But if you don't change how you shop, your house will just get full again in a few months.
Ah, I get it. You're just making room for new junk.
Exactly. You have to fix your consumption triggers.
Consumption triggers. That sounds a bit difficult. What does that mean?
Consumption means buying and using things. A trigger is a feeling that makes you do something. For example, do you ever buy clothes online late at night because you feel sad or bored?
Oh, definitely. Or I buy a sweet coffee when I am stressed at work.
Right. Those feelings are triggers. You are buying things to feel better, not because you need them.
So organization is just playing a game of Tetris with our stuff, just moving blocks around. But true minimalism is choosing not to play the game at all.
Yes. You have to stop playing the game because having too much stuff is actually bad for your health.
Wait, bad for my health, like my messy desk is hurting my body?
It is. Let's look at the science. One study from our sources found that 80% of people feel more relaxed in a clean room.
Well, sure, a clean room is nicer to look at.
But it goes deeper. Another study showed that a messy house actually creates a chemical in your body called cortisol.
Cortisol, that is a stress hormone, right?
Yes, it is the chemical your brain makes when you are in danger. Like if a wild animal is chasing you.
Wait, so a pile of dirty laundry makes my brain think a wild animal is chasing me.
Basically, yes. It happens because of cognitive load.
Cognitive load, that sounds like another good word to explain. Does that mean how hard the brain is working?
Exactly. Think of your brain like a computer. Visual clutter, all the messy things you see, makes your brain work very hard.
But what if I just ignore the mess? Like, if I have a pile of mail on my table, I don't even look at it anymore.
You think you are ignoring it. That is called clutter blindness. You get used to the mess, but your brain is still seeing it. Your brain says, oh, there is mail, I need to pay that bill. There is a dirty cup, I need to wash it.
Wow. So my brain is secretly worrying about the cup while I am trying to work.
Yes, and that makes you very tired. It leads to something called decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue. Let's define that for our listeners. Fatigue means being very, very tired. So getting tired from making choices.
Our sources say humans make almost 700 decisions every single day.
Wow, 700. That is a lot.
Yeah, and your brain battery drains a little bit with every choice. So imagine waking up and looking into a closet with 300 pieces of clothing.
Oh, no. That is exactly what we talked about at the start.
Right, you have to decide, does this fit? Is it too hot for this sweater? Where are my black pants? You burn so much brain energy before you even leave the house.
That is terrible. It really makes sense now why people say having less is better than having more. A clean space is better than a big space full of junk.
Exactly. Less stuff means fewer decisions.
You know, I have a quick story about this, a small win of mine. A few months ago, I was feeling so overwhelmed by my closet.
Wait, overwhelmed is one of our words today. Let's tell the listeners what overwhelmed means.
Sure, overwhelmed means feeling like you have too much to deal with and you just cannot handle it. It feels too heavy.
Right, like the heavy backpack.
Yes. So I was overwhelmed. I finally took a huge bag of clothes I never wear and I gave them to charity. And honestly, getting dressed in the morning is so much easier now.
That is a perfect example. A clean space leads to a clean, peaceful mind.
Okay, so if this mess is making us stressed and tired, why do we keep buying stuff? How do we stop?
We need a mental filter. Our sources shared a great idea from a Brazilian finance blog. It uses 3 simple words: querer, precisar, and poder.
Querer, precisar, and poder, which means want, need, and can afford.
Yes. This is the core rule for shopping. We have to know the difference between wanting and needing.
Okay, let's explain the difference with some simple examples. Water is a need, right? We need water to live.
Exactly. And a third pair of sneakers, that is a want.
But wanting things is normal, isn't it? I mean, it feels good to buy nice things.
Wanting things is very normal. Queer is that quick, happy feeling you get when you see a cool new phone or a pretty jacket. The problem is when we pretend a want is a need.
I do that all the time. I say, well, my phone works fine, but this new one has a better camera, so I need it.
Right, you don't need it. Your current phone works, you just want it. That is why we must ask the second question. Precisar, do I truly need this?
It is hard to be honest with ourselves about that.
It is. There is a great story in our sources about a filmmaker named Diana Baccara.
Oh, yes, I read this part.
Yeah.
She traveled around the world for a whole year, right?
And she only took one small suitcase, just 23 kilograms for an entire year.
That is amazing. She really lived out of a backpack.
Yes. And she learned exactly what she needed to survive, but when she finished traveling and went home, she walked into a big clothing store.
And what happened?
She saw all the beautiful clothes and her brain went crazy. She saw a shirt and thought, I want it. She saw a jacket and thought, I want it.
All those consumption triggers we talked about. The store is designed to make you buy.
Exactly. But right before she bought anything, she stopped. She asked herself, do I need any new clothes?
Yeah, and the answer was no, because she just survived a year with only one small suitcase.
Right. The illusion was broken. She realized the difference between a quick desire and a real necessity. She didn't buy anything.
That is so powerful. And the last word in the Brazilian rule is pode, can afford.
Yes. That means you have the money to buy it without hurting your future goals, not just putting it on a credit card.
So if we use this filter, could I want it? Do I need it? Can I afford it? We will buy much less stuff.
Exactly.
But wait, let me ask a tough question. Is life only about basic survival? What if a want genuinely makes you happy? Does being a minimalist mean we cannot have nice things?
That is a very common misunderstanding. Minimalism does not mean living in an empty room and eating plain rice.
Well, good, because I love my books and my art.
And you should keep them. Our sources say true minimalism is about quality, not quantity. It is perfectly fine to keep things you want as long as they are truly important to you.
I see. So it's about making space for the good stuff by getting rid of the junk.
Exactly. You clear out the noise so you can hear the music.
Okay, I love that. So we understand the psychology now. We have our mental filter, but we still have to actually clean the house.
Yes, time for some real action.
How do we do this without feeling overwhelmed?
Our sources gave us some great practical tips from organization experts and Reddit communities. The first one is my favorite, the 15-minute method.
The 15-minute method, how does that work?
Well, the biggest mistake people make is saying, I am going to clean the whole house today.
Yeah, that never works. You pull everything out, get tired, and give up.
Right, so instead, you only tackle one tiny area, like one drawer or one shelf. You set a timer for 15 minutes. When it rings, you stop.
Even if you are not done.
Even if you want to keep going, you stop. It makes the job feel easy. It is easier than cleaning for 3 hours, and the next day, you actually want to do it again.
That is brilliant. It feels like a small win every day.
What about the things we find in those drawers? How do we know what to throw away?
For that, the sources suggest the 90-90 rule.
The 90-90 rule. Tell me about that.
You hold an item, maybe an old blender, and ask 2 questions. First, have I used this in the last 90 days?
Okay. And if the answer is no,
Then you ask the second question, will I use this in the next 90 days?
and if that is also a no,
Then you have to let it go. You don't need it.
wow, that is strict. But what about winter coats? You don't wear a winter coat in the summer?
Right, you can adjust the rule for seasonal items, but you have to be honest. If you are keeping a pair of jeans that do not fit, just hoping you will wear them one day, you have to let them go.
It is hard, but true. Oh, and speaking of clothes, we have to talk about the reverse hanger trick.
Yes, this is such a smart trick for the closet.
Let's explain it to the listeners. Today, you go to your closet and turn all your clothes hangers backward.
So they look wrong on the bar.
Yes. Then you just live your normal life. When you wear a shirt, wash it, and put it back, you hang it the normal, correct way.
I see. So after a few months, what happens?
You look in your closet. The hangers facing the right way are the clothes you actually wear. The hangers still facing backward are the clothes you never touch.
Wow. That is hard proof. You cannot lie to yourself anymore.
Exactly. The evidence is right there. It proves what your real belongings are.
Belongings is another one of our words today. Belongings just means the things you own, right? Your personal items.
Yep, that is right. Your true belongings are the ones you actually use.
So why do we hold on to the clothes we never wear? Why is it so hard to throw them away?
The sources explain this really well. It is because of something called the fantasy self.
The fantasy self. Who is that?
It is the person we wish we were. For example, maybe you have an expensive guitar in your room, but you never play it.
Oh, I actually do have a guitar I don't play.
See? Throwing the guitar away feels bad because you are throwing away the dream of being a cool musician.
Oh, wow. That hits deep. So we keep things for a fantasy instead of our real life.
Yes. We also keep things because we paid a lot of money for them. That is called the sunk cost fallacy.
Like keeping shoes that hurt your feet just because they cost $100.
Exactly. You think, I can't throw away $100. But the money is already gone. Keeping the shoes will not bring the money back. It just takes up space in your house.
That is such a good point. We already lost the money. We don't need to lose our space, too.
There is also a very cool challenge mentioned in the sources called Project 333.
I read about that. It
Right.
sounds really difficult.
It is a bit extreme, yeah. You pick exactly 33 items of clothing, including shoes and jackets. You put everything else in boxes and hide them.
And then what?
You wear only those 33 items for 3 whole months.
That sounds crazy. Do people actually like doing that?
They do, because it proves how little we actually need. People say it forces them to be creative, and it completely stops that morning decision fatigue we talked about.
I guess having fewer choices is actually easier than having too many.
Definitely. And once you clear out the big messes, how do you keep the house clean? The sources share the 111 cycle.
The 111 cycle. Let me explain this one. It is a daily habit. When you walk into your house, you put one thing away, like your keys.
It's just one thing.
When you leave a room, you take one thing with you, like a dirty cup to the kitchen.
Right.
And right before bed, you put one item back in its correct place.
That is so simple. It takes 5 seconds, but it stops the mess from building up again.
You have a great small win. Do you have a small win like that, Ashley?
Yeah. Well, actually, my small win connects to the next part of our deep dive. I spent 15 minutes last week deleting old apps from my phone.
Oh, nice. That leads us perfectly into the final topic. We talked about physical clutter clothes, boxes, dishes, but what about the clutter we carry in our pockets every day?
You mean our smartphones? Digital clutter?
Yes, the invisible mess.
Our sources talk a lot about digital minimalism because a messy phone screen can cause just as much stress as a messy bedroom.
So true. We look at our screens all day, and the apps are designed to steal our attention.
They really are. They want to keep you scrolling forever. So digital minimalism is not about throwing your phone in the ocean. It is about using it on purpose.
Using it on purpose, like using a tool.
Exactly. The sources give a very cool tip to make your phone less addictive. You turn your screen to grayscale.
Grayscale. That means making the screen only black, white, and gray, right? No colors.
Yes, think about a casino. It is full of bright lights, red and gold, flashing everywhere.
Right, to make you excited and keep you playing.
Well, our phones do the same thing. The red notification circles make your brain feel like it is an emergency.
So if you turn off the color, the phone is boring. It just looks like a tool.
Exactly. You only look at it when you actually need to do something. It stops the endless scrolling.
That is such a good tip. Because if we don't control our phones, we get something called attention residue.
Attention residue. Let's explain that. Residue is like a sticky mark left behind, right?
Yes. So imagine your brain gets sticky. If you are reading a book and your phone buzzes. You look at a text message for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You put the phone down to read again, but your brain does not go back to the book right away. A little bit of your attention is still stuck on the text message.
Oh, wow. The sticky brain.
Yeah, that is attention residue. And if you check your phone every 10 minutes, your brain is never fully focused. You are always distracted.
And that makes you feel exhausted, just like decision fatigue.
So, if we clean our bedrooms but leave our phones full of messy apps and notifications, we are not really living a minimalist life.
No, we are just creating a clean room for a stressed mind. True minimalism has to include both the physical stuff and the digital stuff.
Okay, let's summarize everything we talked about today. This has been a huge, deep dive.
It really has. We learned that wanting less is not a new internet trend. It goes back to history, to Epicurus and Thoreau, who knew that too much stuff brings worry.
Right, and we learned that organizing your junk is not the same as minimalism. We have to stop the junk from entering our homes in the first place.
We talked about how visual clutter, the mess we see, makes our brain tired and creates stress chemicals like cortisol.
We shared the Brazilian filter for shopping. Want, need, and can afford. We have to be honest about what we truly need.
And we share great tips to clean up. The 15-minute timer, the 90-90 rule, and turning your clothes hangers backward to see what you actually wear.
Finally, we talked about digital minimalism, making your phone black and white so it stops stealing your attention.
Remember, everyone, this is not about punishing yourself. It is not about living in an empty box.
Exactly. It is about clearing out the noise so you can finally hear yourself think. It is about making room for the things you truly love.
And we have a question for all of you listening today. We want you to answer in the comments.
Yes. Think about your house right now. What is one thing in your house you do not need anymore?
Is it an old guitar? A sweater? A box of cables? Let us know.
And as we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. Think about that one item you keep holding on to, just in case you might need it one day.
We all have one of those items.
Ask yourself, what is the cost of keeping that item? Not the money, but the mental cost. The space it takes up, the guilt you feel when you look at it.
Right.
What if the greatest luxury in life is not having everything you could ever want? What if the greatest luxury is reaching a point where you want for nothing at all?
Having a clean space really is a beautiful feeling.
It is. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive today on the Easy English Podcast. Don't try to change your whole life today. Just take a 15-minute timer, pick one small drawer, and start there.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye.
Faster English.